I have a pile of white pine logs that I got from my neighbor maybe a year ago or so. Got them for free, didn't have to pay anything for them, and it was right across the street, so it was easy to go get them, bring them back here, and I wasn't sure what I was really going to do with them. I figured eventually they would be turned into either campfire wood or boiler wood. And because my supply of future free heat is running not low, but 2 years out might be a little low. So I'm going to turn some of this white pine over here into boiler wood. So I've already cut up some of the logs here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more to go. And the thing with this white pine here, some of the diameter is perfect for the 6-way wedge on the 37D. So I'm going to get these rounds picked up, throw them in the top dog attachment utility bucket, haul them over to the 37D, which I have set up over here. I am going to just run these into the pile that I started maybe a couple months ago now. It's been a while. So I'm going to run them into a pile that again will be future boiler wood. And there is the 6-way. One of the wedges that I seldom use, the 6-way and the 4-way. But the nice thing about the 6-way is you can see when you drop it down, these bottom wings, this 6-way kind of acts like a 4-way. Some of those rounds might be a little bigger, so I'm going to have to maybe do a little bit of resplitting. But if they do end up with bigger chunks, that's not so bad. Because the one thing with making boiler wood is that you do sometimes want some bigger chunks, and the nice thing with white pine boiler wood is that the bigger chunks are not so heavy and bulky to throw around and feed into the boiler. So that's the plan. 6-way wedge, white pine, boiler wood. Overloading the conveyor. now some of these smaller diameter pieces, I think I might lower this down to get more of a four-way split. Let's see what that does. Yeah, that might be. Not too bad. And just like that, the first bucket is done. We are back with bucket number 2, and this one's got some big ones. I probably should mention, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier for all you Monday morning armchair quarterback engineers out there that are going to jump into the comments and say that this thing is not built correctly and there's something wrong with the design and this and that and the other. When this arrived to me, Andrew sent it down with a motor for the conveyor that was much faster. And he said when they tested it out with the 6-way, the conveyor needed to be moving a lot faster to take the wood away from the wedge. So I had the motor replaced because I thought that the chain was moving far too fast on the conveyor when I was using the box wedge. It was just really loud. It was just, I don't know, some of you probably remember back when I first got this, how loud the conveyor was and how the chain was just moving way too fast. So he sent me down a different motor for the conveyor that was slower, and that's the one that's on there now. So yes, when you run the 6-way with bigger rounds like I was doing, it can get jammed up or almost like it's not taking the wood away fast enough. And that's what was happening here, or is happening here. So yeah, before you jump into the comments saying how bad of an engineering, disaster this design is, just keep that in mind, that I had a different motor put on so the conveyor ran slower, which will then lead to big pieces coming off a 6-way like that, getting almost not really jammed up, but just the conveyor was not able to keep up with it. That's the way to define it. Not that it was jamming, it just could not keep up, taking the wood away as fast as it was coming off of the wedge. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to resplit that. It's a big chunk, but it's still pretty light. So shouldn't make it too difficult to throw into the boiler. Bucket number 2 is done, and I think there's only enough for one more bucket. So we'll have 3 buckets of boiler wood. All right, the third and final bucket of boiler wood coming at you. And there is the pile after 3 buckets of boiler wood. We got oak on the end. We got some pine in the middle now, added on to the end of that pile over there. So I still have, like I said, 10 more logs to add to this pile. So I think it should grow a little bit more by the time I'm all done with adding those logs on. But yeah, some of those pieces were a little big, but they will burn great in the boiler and they won't be too hard to handle. And And that's one of the things I kind of keep in mind, because sometimes if I'm not here, or now boss man is getting to the age where he might be ending up having to go out to throw wood on, I don't like having great big chunks of like oak or big rounds that are unsplit, just because I never know if I'm going to be loading it, or Amanda, or boss man. So I like to keep the pieces manageable. And these, even though they're a little bigger, they are, they're not that heavy, so they will be manageable. So that is the reason for that. And now, like I mentioned, I got to get those rest of those logs split up and added to this pile. Should make a pretty good pile. And yes, I'm going to leave it in a pile.
I've been a real bad boy on the town all night.